Hi, I'm Diana Yoakley. I'm a peaceful parenting coach and mom of three, and I'm delighted to give you the latest science backed research on child development, parenting, and to support you in showing up as the parent that you want to be. Welcome. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for joining us today on the Delight in Parenting podcast. I'm really excited to share my podcast interview with you guys today. I have here with me Megan Robertson. Welcome, Megan. So nice to see you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk to you today as a fellow peaceful parenting coach. And also, you have an amazing and interesting background. So, our topic for today is supporting children with big feelings and deeply feeling kids. And we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of it in a moment. But before we get started, I'd like to introduce you guys to Megan's background. So, Megan Robertson is the founder and owner of New Leaf Parent Coaching, where she works with families of kids aged 4 to 8 that could be described as deeply feeling, highly sensitive, or explosive. Is it 4 to 8 or 4 to 18?
4 to 8.
4 to 8. Yes, very
Yep.
specific age group.
Yep.
Yeah, she is passionate about helping families shift the dynamic in their home from one where people are often walking on eggshells to one where parents feel calm and confident. She has background in systems engineering, which she used to take complex parenting concepts and develop into a more streamlined system for parents to use. She's a certified peaceful parenting coach through Dr. Laura Markham and a trained mentor through Dr. Becky Kennedy's Good Inside community, and has facilitated groups for parents of deeply feeling kids. So excited to have you. Thank you so
Yay.
much for joining me today.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
excited.
so maybe you can elaborate a little bit on how you came to do this work and your interest. And then we'll definitely get into the topic of the framework that you use to support parents. Because I know a portion of my audience definitely has kids 4 to 8 years old that are highly sensitive, strong-willed, deeply feeling, big feelings, challenging behavior, and how you would support some of those families and their children that would be different from maybe a child that's not highly sensitive, that's not deeply feeling.
Yeah, love it. Okay. So how I got into this work, it's a story that starts many, many years ago when I had my first child and became a parent, and I thought everything was going to be easy and it
Yeah.
was going to be great, rainbows and butterflies all the time. That did not pan out the way that I thought. We had experienced a child that really struggled with emotional regulation, big feelings. And as a result, I was having big feelings.
Yeah.
There was a lot of feelings in this house. And so we spent a lot of time and money trying to quote unquote fix the child. And that did
Yeah.
not happen because it wasn't the child that needed to be fixed. It was us as parents that really needed to understand what was going on for her and
Mhm.
respond to her in ways that upended these cycles and narratives that we had unknowingly enforced with her. And so, after a lot of studying and working and messing up and trying again and finding things that really, really changed the dynamic in our house, I felt like I
Mhm.
have got to go help other parents who were feeling
Mhm.
the way that I was feeling, which was lost, alone, and really deeply ashamed
Yeah.
of what was
Yeah.
happening in my house. So I went back
Mhm.
and got certified to be a coach and did some training with Dr. Becky's team also to be a mentor in her community and have used that and many other books and resources to really develop and hone in on this framework specifically for these types of kids.
Yeah. Yeah. So it comes from personal struggles, personal experience. And it sounds like you found a framework that actually is effective, that actually works
Yeah.
like long term, right? That it's a different approach. So yeah, I would love to jump straight into that. And what does that look like?
Yeah. Okay. So the bird's eye view of the framework that I work with parents is it's a triangle. And at the top of the triangle is when our kids are dysregulated. All we're doing is staying calm and keeping people safe. And I know you talk about that a lot. And then in the bottom right corner of the triangle is hours outside the moment, building skills and teaching lessons. And we have to do this in a very indirect way with these types of kids. Cannot be so direct. They often shut down when we try to revisit things directly. Over on this corner of the triangle is building up connection, making these kids
Yeah.
feel seen and worthy and loved outside all the negative behavior. And I want to say, like, this framework that I've developed and I work through with parents is standing on the shoulders of so many other experts. You know, I've read so many books and it's deeply informed by Dr. Becky Kennedy's work. My coaching is heavily influenced by Dr. Laura Markham. It's like it's so many other experts that have fed into this. And even now, like if I have a thought, I'm like, is this an original idea or is this from a book I read 5 years ago that's now clicking into place? I don't know, you know? So a lot
Yeah,
of
yeah.
things fed into this
Hmm.
framework.
Yeah, and it makes sense because it's all based on research and science. These are
Yeah.
the things that actually work based on studies of
Yes.
how like therapeutic interventions would work, coaching works.
Yeah.
It's not just theoretical. It's not just like an idea that's kind of random. It's
Yeah.
definitely based on like nervous system informed, attachment informed,
Yeah, absolutely.
self-regulation. Yeah.
Yeah, and we experienced that in our house. You know, it was this combination of research and personal experience, like
Right.
live experiment along the
Yeah.
way that
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
made me so passionate. I'm like, this stuff works, and I gotta help share it with other people. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I know you work with a lot of parents one-on-one. Would love for you to break down the framework. So, what types of, maybe we can kind of just to help parents kind of self-select into like, how do I know this would apply to me? What types
Yeah.
of parents come, like, what types of challenges they come in with, or what are some of
Yeah.
the things they're like, help?
Yeah, such a good question. You know, it's often the parents that are, my kid goes from 0 to 100 over seemingly minor things, and it comes out as almost animalistic type rage. You know, physical, verbal aggression. Yeah, those are the families I'm most passionate about working with and
Mm-hmm.
helping.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, aggression, physical aggression, verbal, like,
Yeah.
talking back. Well, actually, that age group probably doesn't talk back that as much as they do when they're preteens and teens, but maybe some
Well,
of them start.
verbal like, I hate you, I wish you were
Yeah.
dead, I want to kill you.
Wow. Yeah. Pretty
Yeah,
extreme things, right? That some kids might say.
yeah. I wish I
And
was
so
dead. Yeah,
I wish I was dead. Yeah. And just a kid really like, just having a hard time. It sounds like these are really the states of when they're dysregulated. This is all the stuff that's
exactly.
coming out like when things are
Yeah,
chaotic.
yeah.
And then
And
what
it's
does it
hard.
sound like outside? Go ahead.
Oh
Mhm.
no, I was just gonna say it's hard not to take it personally when that kind of stuff comes out. But
Yes, for parents, for sure.
yeah,
Because it feels like,
yeah,
is it just my kid? Like, what am I doing wrong? I would
yeah,
love for you to help us reframe, like, what does it mean to be like highly sensitive, deeply feeling? What does
yeah,
that mean? Like, how do we
yeah.
really more accurately describe this child?
Okay, to me, the way that I think about deeply feeling kids, I'm just gonna call them deeply feeling kids because that's how I
Okay.
learned about it. But same as
Yeah.
big feeling, highly sensitive, and this is all understanding I gained from Dr. Becky's work was
Yeah.
that they have a feeling inside their body. It could be frustration, disappointment, nervousness, whatever. It overwhelms them. They
Mm-hmm.
cannot handle it, and they go to, I'm a bad kid. And if I'm a bad kid, I might not be lovable and attachable to my parents who are supposed to keep me alive. And so now I'm in a state of threat. I don't think that
Mm-hmm.
they're actually thinking these thoughts, but I think physiologically what is coming out, that is what is coming out of their bodies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Versus a kid that has some feeling, might be frustration, disappointment, jealousy, whatever, and they have a hard time regulating, but they're like, I'm still a good person inside.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why
Mm-hmm.
it's not coming out as in a state of threat in the way that these kids that I work with, it's animalistic sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Um, and it sounds like there's this like narrative, right? Like over time, the kid develops a narrative, which sounds like a shame narrative. I don't know if you can
Exactly. Yes.
highlight that a little bit.
Yeah, it's a shame they're going quickly to I'm a bad person. Not I'm a good person who can't handle or that's having a hard time right now. I'm a bad person. I'm at threat. And often then these kids start spewing it out towards the parents like I'm the victim here because they're trying to protect themselves. You hate me. You don't love me like you love your sister because they're trying to
Mm-hmm.
protect themselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So they go into this state of shame and they attack themselves and then like kind of internal dialogue and then it goes external. And shame can go either internal or external violence, right?
Yeah.
Like but
I think,
sometimes it can go in both directions.
yeah, I think you're exactly right about that. Yeah.
Hmm. So then the parent reacts because they feel attacked by their child.
Yeah, and I think I think what happens in a moment of dysregulation, explosion, we respond. Our instinct is that we urgently need to either make it stop or teach a
Hmm.
lesson. And
Hmm.
make it stop might look like logically trying to convince them out of it or validating their feelings. Validating these kids' feelings often doesn't work in the moment because their feeling is what put them at threat to begin with. And so
Hmm.
sometimes it makes it worse,
Yeah.
or teach them a lesson, then more punishments or
Yeah.
consequences or threats, right?
Yeah.
Their brain is in a state of like, I'm being chased by a grizzly bear. I can't take in any consequences or logical back. Like, all we need to do is stay calm and keep people safe. And this is where you would see a difference from maybe a non-deeply feeling child. A non-deeply
Yeah.
feeling child gets upset, and you could say, "Oh, that's so frustrating that you didn't get the cup that you wanted. I get it." And they're going to be okay. A deeply feeling child that's dysregulated, and you're saying, "It's okay to be frustrated that you didn't get the cup." It's the cup's on the floor now. Like,
Yeah.
oftentimes makes it a lot worse. So in the moment of
Yeah.
dysregulation, all we're doing is staying calm and keeping people safe.
So what does that look like in terms of what do we say and what do we do? What does that mean to stay calm and keep people safe? What are the
Yeah.
actual like words and what are the actions the parent takes?
Yeah, such a good question. To me, keep staying is any words you say are more for yourself than they are for the kid in that moment. And so to me, I'm like, less words, it's good. I'm here. We're going to get through this. We're
Hmm.
staying sturdy. We are blocking. If a kid is trying to hit or throw, we are there to block
Okay. Yeah.
or take them to a smaller, as Dr. Becky would say, like you contain them, you take them to a smaller space.
Hmm. Hmm. And what if they're coming at the parent with physical aggression?
Yeah, in that case, I would scoop them up. A 4 to 8 year old is still at an age where I think for the most part, you can scoop them up, you can take them to a different room, bear hug them from behind if you have to. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
we just don't want them to think, oh, my badness can take over everywhere.
Hmm.
Everyone's scared of me. No one knows what to do with me
Yeah. Yeah.
because that
Yeah.
reinforces the narrative. I am a bad kid. I'm as bad as I think I am. No one knows what to do with me.
Hmm.
Again, all of
Hmm.
this came from Dr. Becky Deeply Feeling Kid.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
100%.
Um, and so as we're kind of thinking through like, okay, we've got this scenario, the kid is like having a big reaction and the parents trying to stay calm. Can you walk us through the framework? So we were
Yep.
at the top, the child was dysregulated at the top of the triangle.
Yes. Okay. So
Uh-huh.
we've had a we didn't get the color cup we wanted. We were dysregulated. We just talked about we're staying calm, keeping people safe. Now, if we want to move down here to how are we building the skills? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is hours outside the moment because oftentimes, like if they're dysregulated, all of a sudden they've calmed down. If we try to enter back in, their shame walls are going right back up. So we have to
Okay.
wait for hours outside the moment. And the first thought that I think when I am trying to teach one of these kids a lesson is how am I going to take away the shame? How am I
Hmm.
going to take away the shame? And
Yeah.
often that means showing them that they are not alone in their
Yeah.
feelings.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that you say that because I support parents a lot with self-compassion frameworks,
Yeah.
and which is heavily studied by research for the last decade and a half. And one of the big components from self-compassion research that talk so self-compassion is a perfect antidote to shame for ourselves, but
Yeah.
for other people, um, there's an element of self-compassion called common humanity, which is
Okay.
basically like you're not alone. And the research
Mm.
shows that when we offer ourselves common humanity, I'm not the only one. Other people struggle with this too. Or you're not the only one. I've been there too. Like
Yeah.
this, I'm in it together with you. Somebody's in it together with you. This socialization, because
Yeah.
shame is a social emotion, right? It's like we feel shame when we feel like we're kicked out of the social circles. We don't
Yeah.
belong to a group, and now we're at risk for survival risk with predators because we're on our own, because humans are
Yeah.
wired for social.
I love
um,
that. And you know what it
yeah.
makes me think about like, okay, if someone's actually trying to change my behavior, if my
Yeah.
husband says to me, I want to change your behavior. I think you need to wake up 5 minutes earlier and your day will be so much better. And there's all this research, and here's why you need to wake up 5 minutes earlier. It feels different than if my husband comes to me and says, I'm wondering about us waking up 5 minutes earlier. What if we're doing this together? It is much more motivating to me to want to change my behavior if I'm feeling like he is in it with me. And I think that's
Yeah.
exactly how our kids also are going to learn to change their behavior if they feel like, oh, wow, mom and dad are in this with me. And we can talk about like a
Mm.
very specific example of one of the strategies. There's a whole bunch of strategies that I work with parents under skill building. This one I originally heard from Lynn Lyons, but it's around emotional vaccination. Okay. Let's say you're thinking about breakfast the next day. You know you're not going to have the color cup that your kid's going to want. Okay. A traditional kid, you might be able to say to them the night before, hey, I just want to let you know the blue cup's in the dishwasher. You're going to have a red cup tomorrow. And they're going to be okay. Right.
Hmm.
This with a deeply feeling child, if we're going to emotionally vaccinate them, what we're going to do is we're going to prepare them for the emotion before it arrives, and we're going to show them they are not alone in it. Okay. So then we're going to say the night before, same situation, we're going to say to them, hey, you know what I'm thinking about? My favorite plate's in the dishwasher tomorrow. And I'm thinking about when we go down to breakfast, I might be a little disappointed that I can't have my favorite plate. I just want you to know, like, if you can't get your favorite cup tomorrow and you feel disappointed, we're in it together. And maybe we can even have a secret symbol between us, like pull your ear 3 times and we're in this together. So what you're
Mm.
doing is you're telling that kid in advance, this feeling might come up. You're not alone in that feeling. And there's a space for that feeling. That feeling is loved and seen and worthy in this relationship with me because I also might have that feeling.
Mm. And what is the feeling in that case? Is it disappointment,
It could be disappointment or frustration. Uh,
frustration?
yeah.
I do feel like those two definitely come up as like some of the two most common. Either they're disappointed, which is like grief, and
Yeah.
then the other one would be like, I can't get this right. I'm trying to do this. I'm so frustrated. I'm going to give up, kind of thing,
Yeah.
frustrated. Or you're not doing it the way I wanted it to. I'm frustrated, which also probably ties into grief, like this, like hitting the wall of grief, which is why setting limits with these kids is really hard because in order for a child to accept your limit, they actually have to grieve that they're
Yeah.
not going to get the thing they want, even if they get a parent that understands.
Yeah, and I think that like, I makes me think back to Dr. Markham saying underneath anger is either fear or sadness, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Fear that I'm not good enough or I'm not worthy or I'm not lovable or a sadness that I might not be.
Mm. So basically, shame and grief. And if I'm thinking
Yeah.
about kind of classifying, like, and shame apparently is one of the most intense emotions we can feel. It can be one of the most toxic. It's like the most toxic, technically, I guess, because if we externalize shame, it becomes violence against other people, like as adults, right?
Yeah.
Um, and grief seems to be an emotion that you can't like process so quickly. Sometimes they can linger and you kind of ride the waves of grief. And
Yeah.
it seems like also for both of them, there's this requirement for like um it, it's hard to carry those alone. They're much easier digested with another person. They're
Yeah.
heavy on, right?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I think like, shame is in a sense a grief of like, I'm not good enough. I'm grieving that I'm not
Hmm.
attachable to other people. I'm not lovable.
Yeah.
We need that. Exactly like you said with the compassion. Like this is a shared human experience. And if I feel alone, that's scary.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, it's very primitive and like
Yeah.
this primitive
Yeah.
emotion, which is why I love that you said the behavior can be so animalistic, even.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because when you think about an animal that is in fight, flight, freeze, they're in survival mode, they're doing anything they can to survive. Um, these intense kids, they experience that internally related to emotions.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just a helpful way to look at it because it's hard
Yeah.
when if you're a parent for the first time and you've not experienced a deeply feeling child to see it and think, what is happening?
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
so and we don't live in a primitive experience. So we're not being chased by grizzly bears. So it is a little foreign to us to see that come out of a small
Mhm.
4 to 8 year old or, 10-year-old or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the challenge is the not a challenge. It's more of like that's why I like also calling them like deeply feeling sensitive kids because it's really a sensitivity to intensity of emotions. We all feel
Exactly.
emotions, like all of us as humans have the capacity for all emotions.
Right.
But some emotions feel more intense to some people than others. Just like,
Yeah.
the sense of smell, like you can smell it more than I do and it bothers you and it doesn't bother me. Or the music is really loud for you and you're like, ah, whereas for me, it's like, yeah, it's loud. So, like a sensitivity type of thing. And
Yeah.
emotionally, when you're deeply feeling, these emotions feel more intense. And that
Yeah.
puts them in fight, flight, freeze at times. Is that what's
Yes.
basically
Yeah.
happening?
Yeah, exactly. I think so. Yeah. And I think it can be
Yeah,
scary to them, right? Because they don't
right.
understand it and they don't
They
understand.
don't understand. The parents barely understand. I mean, it's
Yeah,
until you do all of this
yeah.
like coaching and research and study everything and then really like depersonalize it. Because sometimes, even if you know everything about it in the heat of the moment when it's your kid, it's kind of
Yeah.
like your own shame gets activated. What am I doing so wrong that my kid is acting like this and is so having such a hard time? What did I do to create this? What is wrong with my kid?
Yes. And I think we start a narrative of like, oh, okay, my kid's never gonna have a job. My kid's never gonna have a like healthy relationship. And then all of a sudden we're responding in the current moment as if we have a 25-year-old kid living at home without a job. And that does send us into a state of threat because we want them to be able to survive. And if they can't
Yeah.
survive on their own, then like that is a threat to our system. And then there we're off to the races also.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I love the kind of reframing it. So kind of back to the triangle, the kid
Okay.
at the top is having a hard time, and then in the bottom we said we teach skills. And you also mentioned indirectly. What does
Yeah.
that sound like? What does that look like, for example? Like how would you indirectly versus directly teach a skill around well, you did say about like emotionally vaccinating them. That's one way
Yeah.
to do it. Like, don't let
Yes.
them be surprised in the moment because that surprise is like the intensity of it catches them off
Yeah.
guard.
Yeah, I think that so we're building the skills hours outside the moment, and the way that the first step is to like take away the shame. I am always talking about myself. There's a lot of different ways to do the skill building stuff that I work with people on, but like the thought is I am taking away them being alone on an island and me saying, you, what are you going to do next
Mm-hmm.
time?
Yeah.
I've told you 25 times you can be mad, but you can't XYZ. We're taking away the shame by saying, I'm first talking about myself having these tricky feelings, and that over time they have to see us as good and lovable. We're their parents to keep, so they have to see us good and lovable. And over time, they can learn, oh, wow, mom's good and lovable and has all these feelings. Maybe I can be good and lovable and have all these feelings too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And how does the parent do that when the kid's the one that's acting out in their behavior unskillfully, but the parent isn't some of the time? And I'm sure some of these parents, including myself, will just lose it sometimes. Like, just lose it. And then you're actually like, you actually do feel the same way that they do. And you're like, I'm a terrible parent. So maybe you can
Yeah.
address kind of both ways, like when we're actually feeling all those things and like, how do we come out of that ourselves? Because we're reacting to a kid's and like challenging behavior and then sometimes when we're not acting unskillfully and the kid is, how do we say we're doing it too, but actually it's not visible that we're doing it? Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yes, totally makes sense to me. So I think like if we're saying we aren't struggling with frustration tolerance and we're not having meltdowns, so how are we going to our kid and saying we are, right?
Yeah.
We can think of other times that we have, or like if our kid is struggling with impulse control, with hitting, a perfect example would be like, you know what I struggle with my impulse control on? Picking up my cell phone. I know I shouldn't pick up my cell phone 5 times a day and check if I have any messages. And it's a really hard thing for me to stop myself from doing it. What do you think I should do next time I'm about to grab it? Can you help me figure that out? And then they're teaching you. And what better way to learn than teaching? You're
Yeah.
just as much as you can infuse though your example of having those feelings. We all have the feelings.
Hmm.
We all have them all day. No one's ever gotten rid of all their feelings and they're just happy all the time, right? So like if you really think about it, there's a lot of examples in your day that you can talk about with your kids. And there's a lot of other ways to go about doing it. But for the
Hmm.
purposes of this conversation, does that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And what about if a parent actually does lose it?
Yeah.
How do they kind of overcome their own shame spiral about that?
I mean, it's a practice for all of us, right? Like I talk about this stuff all day long with parents, and there's still times I get frustrated with my kids. And like it's just a practice and just we're all doing the best that we can as much as we can repair with our kids and
Yeah.
apologize and make them, not make them responsible for our inability to regulate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Do you often see that deeply feeling kids come from deeply feeling parents, or at least one?
That's an interesting question. I don't necessarily see that. I know it happens, but I wouldn't say
Mm-hmm.
that like, oh, this is definitely genetic
Genetic.
situation.
Mm.
But
Yeah,
I will
yeah.
tell you, every single parent I talk to has found some specific reason, myself included, that it is their fault that their kid is this way. It could be my kid's adopted. I didn't hold my kid back in kindergarten. I left my kid at daycare crying at 6 months old. I got induced too early. We all have that. And then we're responding from shame that this is our
Yeah,
fault. We are bad. We did something wrong. And then we're not responding in a productive way because we're
yeah,
responding from shame. There's something I'm bad. I messed this up.
yeah, yeah. Like a good intention to try to find a reason to explain the challenging behavior. And then the conclusion is like, oh, it's just because I'm a terrible person. Like I
Exactly.
messed up, I made mistakes, and this is all my fault.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So what is like how do parents support themselves with that? What is something I'm guessing it's common humanity, but you tell me.
Yeah, I think I mean one thing to me is actually all the work that we're doing with our deeply feeling kid is to say you're having the right feeling about it. It makes sense that you feel that way. Because I think
Hmm.
then if we're trying to stop it, make it go away, make this guilt go away, make it go,
Yeah.
then it's inside there versus being like you're having the right reaction to this. You're having the right feeling. We're going to get through it.
Yeah. So when they're like, I'm bad, something's wrong with me, I can't stop hitting my sibling, you're having the right reaction to that. It does feel bad. But we're not
Yeah.
saying, yeah, you're right, you are bad. We're
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
you're having the right feeling
You're having the right feeling,
because
and we'll always feel this way. We're going to get to the
yeah.
other side of
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, I
it.
love
Yeah.
that you're highlighting that. On my podcast a few weeks ago, I posted a video of the what is it called? The fist
Oh,
exercise. You know, the fist
loved it. I
exercise?
listened
Yeah.
to it. I
Oh, you
listened to
did?
it. Yeah, I listened to
Okay.
it yesterday. It was so good.
Okay.
I'm like, this is so beautiful. What did it? Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen
exactly.
it's like something that definitely a psychotherapist and I'm sure psychiatrists like talk to their patients about. But
Yeah.
it's exactly what you're saying. Like when there's a feeling there, shame, and you're like, you're not feeling this way. Let's get rid of this feeling. It's hard. It just gets more constricted and it gets stuck inside, like you were saying. But when
Yeah.
we're like, oh, it makes sense that you're feeling that way. This is exactly the right feeling, like right now in this moment, and we'll get through it together. It's not permanent, it is temporary, but we give it compassion, then it begins to actually lift, which sounds
Yes.
like it's the opposite in our brains in terms of how we think about it.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know. Or like make it stop, make it go away. And then that just, makes it stick there, just like you're saying.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then we feel bad because we can't make it go away. And then,
Mm-hmm.
we're
Yes.
in the shame spiral.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. 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 Which is why self compassion again is so beautiful, because when we give ourselves self compassion, it's not to get rid of the suffering, it's to be with the suffering.
Yes.
And as a result, the suffering begins to lift. So, yes,
Yeah.
the intention is like, yes, to relieve suffering, but not as the first direct step. Like, you're
Right.
not going in there trying to like strive to get rid of the suffering with compassion. You go in there knowing that, yes, it will lift because this is the science of it. And that is like why self-compassion works. But the first step is technically to become masterful at sitting with discomfort with a tone of warmth, to bring
Yeah.
warmth and kindness because you are suffering, not because you're trying to force it out.
Yeah, and I think like it's hard for a lot of us as parents who, didn't have someone
Yeah.
sitting with our tricky feelings all the time when we were growing up. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe a lot of parents were made to think like, oh, I have to make this feeling stop. Right. And
Yeah.
so even
Yeah.
with the shame, a lot of us, our natural reaction is I have to make this feeling stop
Yeah.
versus I have to sit with it. And I think all this work that we are all doing and so many people are working on is we're trying to change that for our kids to be able to
Yeah.
say like, it's you're having the right feeling in
Yeah.
this moment. Even if it's not
Yeah.
happy feeling, excited, calm, even if it's one of these tricky feelings, like that's the
Yeah.
exact right feeling to have. I
Mm-hmm.
find myself
Mm-hmm.
saying that all the time to my kids, you are having the exact right feeling, and we're going to get to the other side of it.
Yes. Yes. So that's like, yes, exactly. That's the mindful, like being mindfully with it without resisting what is, because whatever we resist persists, right?
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So this idea of like radical acceptance
Yeah.
and so there's like a bridge and the coaching, which is I, as your coach or as your parent or as your partner, I hold out this hope that things will shift. There's like a
Yeah.
part two that we will get through this, the growth mindset, that it's a temporary state. Everything is transient in life. Life is always like nothing's permanent, literally, technically,
Yes.
like everything always changes. But if we're in living in the future, we're going to get stuck in like the discomfort of the present because like for it to change you have to be present with it, right? So it's this cool like this process, I guess, that
Yes.
mentally, like emotionally, mentally, but also very much like physically as well. So it's interesting like how just the physical like time and space and like but also emotions operate on this level of mindfulness and acceptance. And then this is what we can do to shift things, and I'm here to support you, and there's a skill building.
Yes. And I love like it's universal, right? This concept, it's not just for like, oh, I'm having shame feeling. It's any
Mm-hmm.
feeling. And I
Yeah.
remember reading in Breaking Free of Child Anxiety and OCD, which was a great book also, like
Mm-hmm.
it's anxiety.
Yeah.
It's okay to feel anxious. We all think like, oh, get rid of anxiety, make it go away. We're never going to make anxiety go away. We're never going to make all the other feelings go away. It makes sense that you're anxious and we're
Mm-hmm.
going to get through it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, I love that you're mentioning that. It's for all emotions, including anger,
Yep.
befriending anger, befriending whatever it is. It's that radical acceptance, and then it begins to shift. Because
Yeah.
technically, emotions are information, they're messages, right?
Yep.
They're communicating something to us about something's either not working, like in this situation, or within ourselves. So it's
Yes.
like a message. And once it's delivered, then it begins to release and we can do something with it. But if we're rejecting the delivery of that and we're just like, no, I don't want to hear that message. Nope, I'm rejecting it. Don't drop off the mail. Like I'm locking up my mailbox. You can't put the mail in there. It's like that Harry Potter scene where like the letters
Yeah.
just
Oh
keep coming.
yeah.
Like that letter will be delivered, like whether you like it or not, right? That's kind of how I see emotions too, you know?
Well, no, it's a great analogy because either the letter can come in calmly, be delivered, or it can be in a dysregulated state with mail
Yeah.
coming through all the windows, right? Like it's a
Yeah.
dysregulated state. If you don't let it in, it's gonna
Right.
force its way in. So love that. What a good
Right.
analogy. A visual of it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I love the visual of it.
Yeah.
Great. So then I guess kind of circle around the triangle, the third corner. Can you speak a
Yes.
little bit more to that one?
Yes. So again, this is hours outside the moment, building up connection with our kids and
Mhm.
making them feel seen and worthy and loved, like outside of all the negative, bad behavior and stuff going on. And the way that
Mhm.
I like to think about this one is if you imagine, like, let's say my husband and I are just not in a good place for the last couple weeks, we're ships passing in the night. Um, only talking about logistics, like
Mhm.
resentment building up. And he comes to me and he's like, hey, could we just take 5 minutes every day, drop all of our demands, and go for a walk together. And does that for a week, and at the end of the 5 minutes is like, this was the best part of my day. You better believe that like I'm going to want to have more goodwill and good attitude towards him throughout the rest of the day, not just that 5 minutes, because he has taken that time to show me like, hey, you are good and you are worthy and you are loved.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I think about this with deeply feeling kids because sometimes it's hard for parents. It's like they're taking so much of me, and I also have some resentment built up towards this child, and
Yeah.
now you are asking me to give them more. Like that feels really, really hard for parents to do. And so often, and when I work with parents, like we're talking about very small things. We're not trying to add a lot to people's day in terms of time,
Yeah.
especially if they have all the if resentment. So like here's an example of something that I think is really helpful with just a deeply feeling kid, build connection, zero time. You say to them, hey, I just want you to know, like anytime I walk by and squeeze your shoulder or draw an X on your back, like I want you to know that means I love you and I'm thinking about you. And you walk by, you squeeze their shoulder, you give them a wink, and you keep going. Okay. And the
Mm.
beautiful thing about this with deeply feeling kids is that it does not require anything back from them. And
Yes.
oftentimes they have such a hard time returning the goodwill because they feel
Mm-hmm.
so bad about themselves. And so
Mm.
what we need to like build up more and more and more connection, but that's just a small example of like a traditional kid. You could be like, let's have a hug. Some of these kids, they don't want to hug you. And so having little ways of like, oh, I'm just drawing an X on your back and a wink
Yeah.
and moving on.
Yeah, no, that's a great example. I love that you mentioned that. One of my colleagues, Sonali Vongchusri, she works with strong-willed kids. She actually mentions that as like a micro connection, like
Okay.
10 seconds, 30 seconds, because parents are like, I don't have time for special time, 20 minutes a day. Even 5 minutes seems like this, like that's a lot, especially if more than one kid. It's like, oh, how do you
Yeah.
like dole this out and schedule it? But
Yeah.
these micro connections literally take seconds and then you drop it. You stop doing it. You're not doing it for 5 minutes. You're not doing it for 20 minutes. And I
Yeah.
love that you're incorporating physical touch as well.
Yeah. And I think like I don't get me wrong, the one-on-one time can be
It's
huge
great. Right.
for these kids. And I think super powerful and can really help change the dynamic. I think that sometimes it's a hard place for parents to start. If they're
Yes.
feeling resentment and other, also maxed out at other capacities and other capacities.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that you're mentioning the resentment because there's definitely like, there might come a point in the parent's child relationship where the parent is like, I don't like my child and I don't want to connect.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's a
So, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's a really hard feeling to have as a parent. And it's just gonna reinforce everything the kid believes about themselves.
Right. Right. What role do you think in that resentment? What role do you think self-care plays in that and self-compassion for the parent?
Yeah, I
How
mean, I
much is
think,
it really about them and how much is it about, as a person that's giving and
yeah.
how much is it about, I don't know what if you can comment on that.
Yeah, I think a lot of the things that we have talked about apply here too. Like, it makes sense that I feel resentful. Like, I'm having the right feeling, allowing your body
Yeah.
to feel that such that you can move through it versus trying
Mm,
to be like, I shouldn't be resentful. This is my kid. I should have known better. I should be better for them. I should be able to just suck this up. Um,
yeah.
And I do think there is the element of self-care. If a parent is not able to fill their cup up, they're not going to be able to fill anybody else's cup up either in a genuine way.
Yeah. Yeah, especially if they feel like interactions with the kid are just meltdown after meltdown and they
Yeah.
just don't see opportunity for like connection. Or
Yeah.
if they do like walk by and squeeze their shoulder and then even if they've preempted it, the kid's like, don't touch me.
Yep. Yeah. I
How
know.
do you keep doing that when you're getting rejected actively?
Yeah. I think it's a really hard thing. And I think that if we take that stuff personally from these kids, then we're just going to reinforce the whole cycle. And we have to
Mm-hmm.
be the adult that moves through and says, I don't care. Not out loud in your head. Like, I'm going
Yeah.
to keep trying. I am
Yeah.
going to keep showing up. I am going to keep loving you.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, no, I love that you're saying that. I think one of the things that Dr. Laura definitely talks about is like, and if that feels even too hard to do, then you need to get more support for yourself.
Yeah.
So coaching, parenting community, if it's too hard, if you know it's the right thing to do, but it's too hard to do, that doesn't mean you just stop there and you just give up because you just
Yeah.
can't do it because even though you know better, that just means that there's like you want to like you have these expectations of yourself because you know better. You're supposed to be doing this thing with your kid, but it's really hard. You're falling short. The
Yeah.
difference there is support, right?
Yeah.
Not
Love that.
giving up or giving ourselves like more criticism.
Yeah, I love that. And I think you're right about coaching and parent education, like totally
Mhm.
changed everything for our family and our
Yeah.
family dynamic. And so reaching out for support and learning and, we're all just doing the best that we can here. So
Yeah. 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 So there is like a way out of that, I guess, even that like place where we might feel like we're trapped in resentment and it's like a dead
yeah, and
end
I
kind of
think,
thing.
and as you see the dynamic in your household changing, it slowly over time, it just starts to evaporate. And you know what it turns into is gratitude for the smallest moments with these kids.
Mm.
Because
Mm.
other kids, you could have those moments a dime a dozen. They're happening all the time. When
Yeah.
little moments with these kids happen, like I can physically in my body remember a time when my child grabbed to hold my hand when we were walking. Like that means that resentment turns into gratitude as the dynamics
Yeah.
start to shift.
Oh, that's amazing. So it's definitely like a spectrum and a journey, and we inch inch forward on it little by little with the
Yeah.
support that we do need
Yes.
to actively reach out for support.
Yes, and I would say like we inch forward and we move backward, and then we inch forward a
Yeah.
little more and we move backward. Like it's.
Yeah, it's a little dynamic, but
Yes.
overall, it's this like the more work we put into it with support, the more it's going to work for us.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. I know we have to wrap up because we're almost at our time limit, but would love for you to any other final words for our audience listening, and then if you would share also where people can find out more about your work.
Yeah, of course. So I always end with talking with clients. This originally again came from Lynn Lyons, and she said our goal is not for our kids. We think, oh, our goal should be for our kids to be happy. The goal is not for our kids to be happy. No parent ever has raised a child that was 100% happy 100% of the time. So our
Yeah.
goal is raise kids who experience their full range of emotions and can cope with their full range of emotions. And how we do that is by coping with our own range of emotions and also coping with them when they are having their full range of emotions. And I just think that's like
Mm-hmm.
a really beautiful summary of all the work that we're all trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my final thought. And then people can find more about me at newleafparentcoaching.com. I also have an Instagram account people could follow,
Yeah.
and they can read more about my work. I have a Google business profile with reviews from clients and information on booking a session. So, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to hear from
Amazing.
people.
Yeah, amazing. So good to talk to you. Thank you so much for being an expert on this topic and sharing with our audience because I know a lot of parents definitely can relate to this exact situation we're talking about and these patterns. And so would love to have you come back another time.
Yeah,
But
thank you so much for the opportunity to be here.
you're
It was
welcome.
great chatting with you. I
It
love
was.
thinking and talking about this deeply with anyone else who loves to think and talk about it deeply. So
Yeah.
it was a delight to be on Delight in Parenting with you.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. It was great talking to you as well. Bye bye.